We're all facing some very challenging times with the COVID-19 pandemic, which is a real crisis. And sometimes we forget that the biggest crisis that humanity is facing is actually related to climate change. That's why we at Bayer have set really ambitious sustainability commitments, because our goal is to help make agriculture part of the solution to climate change.
We have to make our global food systems more sustainable. It's our responsibility to the next generation, to our customers, and to ourselves. This means reducing our environmental footprint while still managing to produce affordable, nutritious food for the world.
We can help redefine the value of farming, and growers can generate revenue for adopting climate-smart practices. Together, we are jump-starting a new era of sustainable agriculture.
We want to ensure we are offering growers tailored solutions and recommendations that maintain the protection they need for their crop, while reducing environmental impact.
For all our commitments, we are measuring and tracking progress, on the one hand to improve business decision-making, but also to provide the public with complete transparency into our efforts.
At Bayer, we're working really hard to shape the future of agriculture for the benefit of farmers, consumers, and the planet. And through this, we're going to bring our vision to life: health for all and hunger for none.
Greetings from Silicon Valley. I'm John Hartnett, founder and CEO of SVG Ventures Thrive, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our Thrive Bayer Sustainability Challenge. I'm also joined here today by Bob Ryder, Head of R&D at Bayer Crop Science. Welcome, Bob, and great to see you again.
Hi, John. Good to see you again as well. Exciting to be with you and talk about innovation and new things that are going to shape agriculture.
Excellent. As you saw from our opening video, climate change is one of the biggest crises currently facing our population. In fact, the UN has just raised this to a code red for humanity. We all have a responsibility to play our part in making our global food systems more sustainable and finding better answers for people and for our planet. Bayer are deeply committed to making agriculture part of the solution to climate change and have set very ambitious sustainability commitments. We are honored to partner with the Bayer team on this challenge to support key startup and scale-up innovators that are promoting a more sustainable future for all of us. Bob, can you share a background on Bayer's vision for sustainable agriculture and why Bayer decided to partner with Thrive for this sustainability challenge?
Yeah, thanks, John. You know, at Bayer, we have a vision which is health for all and hunger for none. And I think that's a very, it's an admirable and a very ambitious aspiration, and one that we're very, very committed to. And then I think in order for us to really have an impact and be an impact generator in this space, we looked at this and said, in order for us to be successful, it has to be innovation driven, and we have to have some committed goals behind it. And so one of the things that we've done as it relates to sustainability and the topic of hunger for none is we set some ambitious sustainability objectives for ourselves. Those are things like 30% reduction in the agricultural footprint impact. We also have an impact that we want to see with a reduction of the impact of crop protection products by 30%. And then finally, and maybe my favorite, is also how can we help smallholder farmers be more successful and have access to the tools and capabilities and technologies that help them also to become more successful farmers in a sustainable way. So those are three big goals and objectives we have, and I think they mesh very nicely with, I think, some of the achievements and goals that you want to have with Thrive. I know that you have a very strong commitment to the UN sustainability goals, and I think between the two of us, we have a strong commitment to innovation and see innovation really to being the key to unlocking these solutions. And then lastly, I think we're very clear that we can't be an invented only here. We're not going to achieve this on our own. We need partners, we need help. We need very bright minds thinking about really great innovative ideas. So I think it's just natural for us to want to partner with you and to look for those really great innovations outside of Bayer.
That's great, Bob. Thank you. And today's challenge is the culmination of a 10-month process from program design, launch, outreach, selection, and finally today we will announce our winners. We received almost 300 applications from 57 countries, and our teams have selected 6 startups and 4 scale-ups as finalists to pitch here today. A huge thank you to our amazing judging panel for participating in the process of reviewing and evaluating each of these companies and sharing their feedback. We will present 3 awards today. The People's Choice Award, where leaders and peers in the ag community are given a chance to recognize their favorite company with their vote. The Thrive Bayer Sustainable Startup Award, where the winner will receive a prize package including investment, placement in the Thrive's award-winning accelerator program, and access to Bayer's investment and R&D teams and more. And the Thrive Bayer Sustainable Scaleup Award, where the winner will explore a proof of concept pilot project with Bayer, receive automatic nomination for the Thrive's top 50 listing, and access Bayer's resources and Thrive's ecosystem and more. Now, before we dive into the pitches, I'd like to hand it back to Bob to introduce our panel.
Thanks, John. And what a fantastic panel we have to help us with this. And it's an honor for me to be able to welcome our 3 panelists, and they'll share with us some of their insights, talk about some of the challenges and I think the opportunities as well, as we all really work together on food security and how to build a more sustainable agricultural system and food supply. And so with that, I'd like to first introduce Ambassador Bernicat, the Acting Assistant Secretary for Oceans and International Environmental and Scientific Affairs. She'll be joined by Deputy Director General of the Food and Agricultural Organization in Rome, Beth Bechtel. And finally, one of my colleagues, Sarah Bodiger, who is Head of Crop Science, Head of Public Affairs, Sustainability and Science. 3 excellent panelists that will be joining us and helping us to identify where these opportunities are and judge this great work that's out there.
Thank you, Bob, and welcome to our panel, Advancing Sustainability Through Innovation. And I'm honored to be joined here today by our distinguished female leaders from both public and private sector for a fascinating discussion on innovation and sustainability. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. It's great to meet you.
I might start with Sarah. The solutions that our finalists will be presenting shortly all address reducing greenhouse gases, reducing consumption of natural resources, and supporting smallholder farmers. Can you tell us a little bit about what you and your team are doing at Bayer to support these goals, and which role can startups and scale-ups and partnerships play in achieving Bayer's vision for sustainable agriculture?
Yeah, great question. I think in agriculture right now, we're in this era where we have to solve a lot of really complex problems, but we need to solve them fast. If you think about it, we say this all the time, but we're depending on our ag system to meet the demands of a rapidly growing population. We're asking it to serve as a kind of economic development tool, bringing millions of smallholder farmers out of poverty. And we're asking for the system to do that all while we're innovating to respect the planetary boundaries that become starker every year. And these aren't like SpaceX challenges, right? They're not like well-defined where when you're kind of where the finish line is. And I think when you have these huge complex problems, the real answer is how do you accelerate innovation? It's not picking the right winner because you don't know what that winner is going to be. It's how do you speed up the innovation ecosystem? And that's exactly the kinds of things that you're talking about. That, they're just absolutely critical. We also, in addition to the work that Bayer does, the work that Thrive does, and my colleagues on the panel here, we need the right policies, we need the right finance, we need the right institutions. It's all part of that kind of how do we accelerate the innovation ecosystem to get to these solutions that, frankly, we don't know what they look like yet.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thank you, Sarah. Beth, great to see you again. And, in terms of Bayer's sustainability commitments, how do they correlate with FAO's strategy to defeat hunger? And also maybe first, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your role and how FAO is engaging and utilizing innovation to achieve food security for everyone.
Yeah, sure. So let me just say just a really quick word about FAO. We are a specialized agency of the United Nations, the Food and Agriculture Organization. We're headquartered in Rome. We have about 13,000 people, but they're all across 130 countries, all really working on very many of these very topics around sustainability, around defeating hunger, food insecurity, malnutrition, and developing and supporting livelihoods for smallholder farmers, especially in the developing countries. I couldn't agree more with so many of Sarah's comments. And as she talked about this important focus that we all place on a rapidly growing population, I think it's pretty important to also emphasize that very sadly, that growing population is increasingly becoming more hungry and more malnourished. And I think that's a really important sort of stage setting perspective to give here as we even have a conversation about sustainability, because it's about sustainability working to eliminate poverty and to improve livelihoods and to eliminate hunger. And very sadly, we are off track to achieve much of that. The United Nations has developed what we call the global goals, the 2030 agenda, as it's called, 17 sustainable development goals that really sort of guide our efforts in all of these areas. And FAO is the custodian for many of those. You can appreciate that food and agriculture touches so much of this effort to bring global equality and global income and global improvement of climate and natural resource availability to those most in need. And as we think about a challenge like this, if you're going to work towards no poverty, zero hunger, reduced inequalities, which are three of the sustainable development goals that are at the very center of FAO's own strategic framework, our 10-year strategic work plan. Caring for our natural resource base and developing tools and solutions for climate change adaptation and mitigation, improving the economic livelihoods and providing income for smallholder farmers, as I said, all of that is central to achieving those or addressing those issues. And part of my role is in the efforts of supporting FAO's work in collaboration with private sector partners. We have just endorsed and developed a new strategy for private sector engagement. And we also have just developed and formed a new Office of Innovation, very much advocating here inside FAO that science and technology and innovation are all central to the achievement of these big goals. And I say, you know, we've created a strategy and we've created an office, and coming from the private sector in my past life into FAO, I might sort of look sideways and say, wow, is that really a big achievement? But it is for an organization like FAO as a part of the United Nations. It's a real directional change for us. And finally, just to emphasize Sarah's point, it's going to take private sector partnerships. It's going to take national governments. It's going to take a global multi-stakeholder approach to get there. And it's really exciting to see entrepreneurs and startups be a part of that as well.
Yeah, that's incredible and very, very powerful and important stuff for our planet and our people. Ambassador Bernacat, can you tell us a little bit about your current role, and, you know, has it provided you any insight onto whether economic growth and the protection of our environment are often at odds with one another? Is there something more we could be doing?
I have to tell you, John, thank you so much for that question, because I believe that is very much a false dichotomy, and would love to dispel the myth once and for all. As Sarah and Beth have both pointed out, innovative approaches to agriculture are necessary not only for helping to sustain the environment, but also to provide sustainable economic growth that will both lift people out of poverty and conserve natural resources. You know, consider the fact the Biden-Harris administration has placed climate change, and along with fighting COVID and building back our economies, at the top of our agenda. The climate crisis has the potential to threaten lives and incur incalculable damage from the impacts of the changes that we've actually begun to see right now. But transitioning to a climate smart innovation and technologies provide huge economic opportunities, from blockchain technologies that enable agricultural supply chain traceability to biotechnologies that create feeds, new feeds for livestock that will reduce methane emissions. There are opportunities for innovation and entrepreneurship that both grow our economy and protect the environment. And consider how important this is, that the agricultural sector is the backbone of the developing countries of the world. And so they making improvements also has the greatest potential to reducing poverty globally. We also recognize that farmers around the world depend on clean water, a stable climate, and a healthy environment, not only to be productive, agriculturally productive, but to be healthy enough to be productive as well. I just wanted to point out, if I could, several opportunities, several examples. When we think of technological innovations, we tend to think of, very sophisticated lab-born innovations. When I was serving in Bangladesh, the Bangladeshis came up with a system whereby you can take fertilizer and plant it near the root of a crop. This meant that you can use less inputs, so less costly to the farmer at the local level. The fertilizer was far more effective because it reached its target more immediately, and there was less runoff from fertilizer that would have been spread on the surface, so less polluting effects for the water supply. So one of the advantages that State Department and USAID has is that we can take that idea from one country into another. And several years later, President Obama, during a visit to Senegal, witnessed that very same technology, very low, very applicable, very locally developed, being applied. So, innovations cover a wide range of examples. The last thing I would say is that more efficient food systems are essential to producing more with less land, less water, fewer inputs and resources that are critical to alleviating poverty and meeting the world's food needs, and shrinking agricultural environmental impact.
Excellent. Thank you, Ambassador. And I mean, it's great to be able to see such an important area at the top priority of the Biden and Harris administration. And also just hear simple solutions can make a big impact, across the world. Thank you. I have a question for each of you. The UN Food Systems Summit will take place later this month in New York, and the UN Climate Change COP26 is starting in November. What would you say the role of agriculture or agri-food entrepreneurs and innovators, like in our audience today, in achieving these goals are being set by these two important global summits? And maybe I'll start with Sarah to kick us off here.
Yeah, two really important meetings coming up. The COP26, I think the big messages are that we're out of time. We're not running out of time. We actually are out of time. So the role of innovation in trying to figure out, and that accelerating of innovation is just so critical. And it's not the COP26 has these these really important priorities of figuring out functioning carbon markets and finance for low and middle income countries and action plans and nationally defined contributions. But the reality is that all of this is moving anyway. So even if the 197 or whatever the number is, diplomats don't agree on the language, you think about the markets are changing, national policies are changing, trade is changing, and there's this fundamental shift in our underlying kind of risk structure because of climate change. And all of that means that things are happening. And things are happening, I think, with increasing pressure. And this is true in, if you look at the European Green Deal, if you look at the Biden administration, the decisions WTO is going to take in the next years about trade, carbon crossing borders, central banks and how they're integrating climate risk. it's all kind of driving in a direction which we haven't moved fast enough on. We just our innovation really hasn't moved fast enough. But I feel like at this point, there's enough momentum that the systems are coming together to really drive something. And I would say that the one piece which is true across either of these conversations that are happening in the next month. I'm a huge fan of public-private partnerships, and I liked what Beth was saying about that. We need all of the pieces of the public sector, but without the kind of R&D engines of the private sector, or the agility of startups, or this kind of cross-fertilization that happens when you have public and private sector together, we're not going to be able to solve any of the problems that are coming up in these two big meetings of minds that are coming up.
That's excellent, Sarah. Thank you. Ambassador, your view on these two important summits and what it means for entrepreneurs?
Well, Sarah, I couldn't agree with you more, and Beth couldn't agree with you more. Public-private partnerships are essential. One mantra we have been saying since Inauguration Day is that governments alone cannot solve these problems. We don't have enough money, we don't have enough expertise, and we've seen what pulling together the best of both worlds, as well as NGOs and other stakeholders, can bring to the table in terms of finding solutions. We are at a critical juncture, and we are out of time. To the point of private-public partnerships, the United States and the United Arab Emirates will launch, during the summit, an agriculture innovation mission for climate, or AIM for Climate, actually at the COP26. The AIM for Climate has the goal of increasing and accelerating global innovation, research, and development on agriculture and food systems in support of climate action. The public and private sector AIM for Climate partners will mobilize new investment, really key, targeted in the billions of dollars in climate smart agriculture, R&D, and innovation, and create incentives and mechanisms for maximizing impact for positive outcomes amid the changing climate. So we welcome new non-government commitments to increase investments in agriculture, innovation for climate smart food systems further over the next 5 years, to enable bold ideas through innovation challenges with the participation of other AIM for Climate partners. We have to be open to the next big ideas, as well as to continue investment in the agility and the resilience of agriculture and rural communities and supply chains around the globe. We also have to look at issues like food waste throughout the system, producing the right amount of food so that it gets into stores and is sold and not wasted, as well as reducing waste in households and at the production end. So lots of challenges, and we look forward to working with our private sector partners.
Yeah, thank you, Ambassador. Beth, you obviously know these summits really well. Could you give us your insights here?
I don't know that I know them well, but I'm learning.
So yeah, in terms of these, I mean, what do you think, the importance of these are, and, the role for agri-food entrepreneurs and innovators here?
So first, I just want to say it's a really big deal that both of these events and others even, there's a Nutrition for Growth Global Summit taking place in Tokyo later in the year. And you put these these kinds of global events together. And granted, we can all sort of look at them as one-time, almost one-off events, because I think sometimes we do sort of view these kinds of convenings and gatherings almost as more transactional. But I think in this particular time, especially post-COVID, middle COVID, we're not even post-COVID, I shouldn't even say that, this opportunity with the sequencing of the pre-summit that we just did to the Food System Summit here in Rome just last month, was the lead up to the Food System Summit, the COP, the Nutrition for Growth, are all bringing this attention to the very point that Sarah has said, and the ambassador has emphasized, and the point I've made is, we're out of time. And it's not just out of time on climate, we're out of time on all of these topics. And back to my earlier point, the trends are going in the wrong direction in so many of these variables and so many of these areas. What I would say, for me especially, as I'm new to this role, I was really excited to be able to attend some of these events in person. Clearly, we're not doing anything in person yet, and sadly, the Food System Summit, I think officially, will now be virtual. But the benefit to this audience, and to so many others, is that I think, again, like we've talked about in this virtual environment we're all living in, our new normal, it makes these kind of events so accessible to entrepreneurs, to private sector, to civil society, to individuals, to youth, to different audiences and different stakeholders that haven't been able to access them before. And so I think, again, it's sort of a cutting, sort of two sides of the coin there. But the thing that I would say, John, to this particular audience and to the entrepreneurs who are participating in the challenge and so many others, is I really like Sarah's point about the 197 diplomats sort of all at the center of these things. And what I would say to the audience here and to those, who are a part of this challenge, first of all, don't wait on the 197 diplomats to give you that guidance. Keep going. Do what you're doing. Keep innovating. Keep pushing the boundaries. Keep pushing us to be in these kinds of conversations. But at the same time, back to my point about a virtual setting, participate in these events. Don't sit on the sidelines. Be patient with the process. It can be a bit cumbersome and a bit frustrating at times, but be a part of it and use your voices, use platforms like this, use relationships with organizations like BEAR, be in touch with organizations like FAO or with national governments, with the State Department, with the US Department of Agriculture and others. That's all critical to making sure that events like this are ultimately successful, because it is going to take every stakeholder and every partner to get us back to working on achievement of these bigger goals.
That's great advice, Beth. Thank you. And just moving into our next question that we can go through together. For each of you, in your line of work, what barriers to innovation do you encounter? And given the resources, how might we break down these barriers and support entrepreneurs with disruptive ideas? And I guess, Sarah, this is kind of a big part of your day job, I'm sure.
It's a big part of what I've thought about for the last 20 years. So I think the barriers are really different across the different sections of the Thrive Challenge. So if you take what are the innovations that are going to deliver value to smallholder farmers? I think you have some of the classic breakdowns in innovation when you're innovating for the underserved. And this gets a little bit to the example from the ambassador that, you need local innovators who know these problems in their bones, right? They know the markets, they can see what the solutions are, but then you need the tools to support those local innovators. And that's where, typically, as we know, in many low-income countries, angel capital, venture capital, incubators, we just don't do a good enough job yet of supporting that kind of innovation ecosystem in countries like that. So I think those are some of the barriers, and it's actually pretty clear what we need to break down those. How we do it or how we collectively get together to do it is another question. But then I think the other category take your reducing greenhouse gases category of innovations. Those are different barriers. I think in that space, it's almost as if you don't quite know the value yet. So you're trying to innovate for a space where you have confidence that these innovations will have value, but at the same time, you've got this parallel movement of carbon markets forming, or the changing willingness to pay of customers in their purchases, or changing policy frameworks. And so, it's hard to innovate in a space when, usually you can track back from what you think the value in the market will be and say, all right. But I think that's it's a different barrier. And I think at Bayer, this kind of long-term growth idea, where we've taken these challenges into the center of the company and given a sort of portfolio of investments, is one way of breaking down that barrier. But they're quite different barriers, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. Ambassador, your view on these barriers and how we can break them down.
Yes. Well, generally speaking, thinking, just in broad terms, barriers can be created by, failure to have access to education, technology, information. You can have barriers against smaller or newer players, to Sarah's point, into the marketplace or supply chains. There are barriers due to regulations. Regulations are formed for good reason, and yet innovations often bump up against those regulations, and new technology has not been considered when having created those regulations. You can also have barriers from the community or the market and explaining new techniques and technologies. But I think most notably, and again, the Biden-Harris administration is really focused on some of the barriers that have been the most persistent and most pernicious, including being exacerbated during COVID, is the barriers created or that women and underrepresented groups have experienced. And so women often have difficulty receiving funding and support for their ventures, including here in the United States. We know that women are underrepresented in STEM fields, as in the developed and in the developing world. But fortunately, there are good programs out there. One of my favorites, and it mirrors a bit what you've done at Thrive, John, is the Global Innovation Through Science and Technology Initiative, which specifically targets women and young people in general, empowering innovators by giving them access to skills, mentoring, and really important to mentoring, and funding, so that they can bring their great ideas to market. I think that there's a lot that has to be done collaboratively to break down barriers as well, and to be able to use people's ideas to their full potential. The United States is a leader in the world in terms of agricultural research and development, as well as others, other fields. And I think the use of technology in agriculture is becoming increasingly sustainable and increasingly affordable. Think back to the fact that the cell phone put in Indian farmers' hands the ability to be able to predict what market prices were going to be, and that gave them a lot more power in their ability to command fair prices and cut out the middle people who oftentimes were sapping their economic benefits. Precision agricultural tools like field mapping and variable rate application, sound daunting, but when you think that you can achieve these things with drones and information sharing, all very important. And I can't emphasize enough that the use of evidence-based information is so powerful in the field, and it helps cut down. I can tell you, when our negotiators go to the table and they're battling their 150 country counterparts, what often gives the United States the chance to prevail is not the fact that we're the richest country in the world, or we have, the largest market, but the fact that we're bringing quality science to the table that is very difficult, if not impossible, to argue with. In terms of agricultural innovations, I just wanted to say that as President Biden and Secretary Vilsack have both articulated, this is a decisive moment to address both the climate crisis and for the U.S. agriculture sector to demonstrate global leadership. So precision agriculture, these innovations are already proving themselves to be a part of this new landscape and the new answers for addressing both climate change and sustainability changes globally. So we're in the right place at the right time. And there's a willingness in my career unparalleled to breaking down those barriers. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but
absolutely.
No better start.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very profound, and I'm glad to be the odd man on the panel today as well. So this is a good thing. Beth, in terms of these barriers, what are you experiencing, and what's your advice to breaking them down?
Yeah, no, I'll be, I think, probably pretty brief on this one, because I think Sarah and the ambassador did such a great job of kind of capturing the long list of barriers. For us, I kind of think about this question through the lens of the farmer. And I use, I think, the ambassador's example earlier of Bangladesh and some other countries to demonstrate this importance of contextualization. And John, you and I, we've worked together in the past, and in previous lives, I've been one of those individuals who looked for the next shiny object in ag tech. And here in this role and in the work that we do, it's going back to the basics. And it's also recognizing that not always the shiniest, or sometimes not even the most basic, is applicable in every place. And so it's the suite, and as the ambassador gave certain examples, it's that suite of innovations and suite of tools, some very basic, some very transformational, and maybe even cutting edge, that does have that opportunity. And that's where, again, the nimbleness of entrepreneurs and startups, the groups that are participating in this very challenge. Not saying this to be critical of Sarah and Bear, but sometimes it's harder for big multinational organizations to kind of have that type of agility and to change or to pivot product offerings, services, digital tools quite so quickly because of the business model and the R&D platform and the other things that are so structured. And so to have that ability to come in with a more flexible, sort of more adaptable, ready for farmers to adopt, and again, maybe more affordable in many cases, there's a real opportunity, I think, for these entrepreneurs to be in these spaces. And for us, one of the ways, I guess, maybe to break down those barriers, and it's why FAO is looking to be a partner and participate in more things like this very challenge and the support of entrepreneurs and the partnerships that are here, because we know the power of our platform, and the power of our platform as FAO is not the headquarters in Rome. The power of our platform as FAO are our field offices in 130 countries, and the relationships we have with national governments, with farmers in those communities and in those countries. And so that accessibility is why my aspiration for the role that I have and the work that we do is to really be that convener and that connector, to really empower these types of alignments to happen between the entrepreneurs, the farmers, and the policymakers and other private sector partners, academics and scientific organizations that all need to work on these challenges together.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, Beth, and I totally agree in terms of looking at it the lens of the farmer who's at the center of this. Our last question, maybe a rapid fire, because I know we're kind of running out of time, is if you could provide only one takeaway on achieving sustainability, and I know this is a tough question to our audience today, what would that be? Sarah?
I have to say, keep it farmer focused. As I know we've said it before, but it's that old Norman Borlaug adage: take it to the farmer and start from the farmer lens.
Excellent. Thanks, Sarah. Ambassador?
Collaboration is really key. We absolutely need to be listening to the farmer and to local solutions, but then also being open to the kinds of innovations that can bring new things to the farmer. We pride ourselves at State of listening to all the stakeholders. When we go into negotiations, we go into these global meetings, we carry with us the viewpoints of the people who are actually on the ground. So collaborating across all of those, all of the key sectors is really key.
Excellent. Thanks, Ambassador. Beth?
So I would just say, I know that in many cases, these entrepreneurs have to focus on perhaps a very localized, very kind of individualized market opportunity or even a geography. So while there's a local or a sort of maybe, sort of more centralized focus, think global. I guess my word of encouragement would be to not lose sight of this big global construct and these big global challenges that we're all working together to solve, because I think there's a lot of opportunity to continue to educate ourselves, because to the ambassador's point, it is going to take all of us, and that collaboration, that education, and that continuing to be champions and advocates for ag tech and innovation is critical. So keep that global picture in mind, regardless of the focus of the business at hand. Keep that global focus in mind.
That's excellent advice. I think in summary, I think, great points here in terms of, obviously focus on the farmer. Collaboration is key to doing business and to working. And that was one of my old themes of, think global and act local, just really kind of having that global approach. I also kind of felt I heard a lot of P's over the P words across the discussion. This is a priority at the top of our administration. It's important for our planet and our people. I also heard that the public-private partnership is very important, and having a platform that's global, that's distributed across across the world, that's where the power is. I thought I heard Beth saying there as well, not just in one central location. So again, ladies, thank you very much. Really enjoyed the conversation, fascinating discussion. And again, thank you, and look forward to driving forward on sustainability.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Evan Cohen, Accelerator Manager at SVG Ventures Thrive, and I'm here to help kick off today's pitches by introducing you to our finalists. Representing Argentina, Australia, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Switzerland, the UK, the US, and Costa Rica, Thrive and Bayer believe these 10 cutting-edge companies are in the best positions to advance sustainable solutions in food and agriculture by providing diverse perspectives, technologies, and teams to help us secure our food supply. To start us off, let's talk soil. Soil is an amazingly complex living system, but measuring it shouldn't be. Regenerative farming practices hold huge potential to build soil health, but accurate and cost-effective soil measurement is needed to better understand what practices are most effective in local contexts. To date, accurate testing has remained expensive, limiting its potential. But Matthew Rosen, founder and CEO of Haystack, has a solution.
Hi, my name is Matthew Rosen, and I'm the founder of Haystack Ag. Now, before we begin, I wanted to take a quick moment to show you this. This is a cubit rod from the 18th dynasty of Egypt, which was found in the tomb of Maya, who was the royal treasurer for Tutankhamun, or King Tut. The cubit happens to be one of the earliest known standardized measures in the world, dating back to the 3rd or 4th millennium BC. It was used for recording the harvest, the annual surveying of agricultural land, and trade, all foundational pillars of Egyptian bureaucracy. And the reason I'm showing you this is to highlight how important standardized weights and measures have been and continue to be to modern civilization. Everything we grow, buy, trade, or sell is measured in some standardized way that people trust, and this allows for massive efficiencies and growth. If you take one thing away from today, it should be that at our core, Haystack is developing modern equivalents of the qubit rod, tools that efficiently survey agricultural land, create trust, build market efficiencies, and enable soil carbon market scalability. After nearly a decade of R&D and product development experience, specifically in the measurement, diagnostic, and agricultural spaces, I found this problem to be a perfect fit for both my personal background and passions, as well as a key environmental and societal issue. And just as a brief overview, agriculture and land use already account for around 25% of greenhouse gas emissions, so it's currently a large emitter. That being said, soils contain 2 times more carbon than the atmosphere and all living vegetation combined. And some estimates suggest that we could sequester an additional 9 gigatons CO2 equivalent per year through regenerative practices, turning this source into a sink. But to do this, we need good data that people trust. And unfortunately, one of the challenges with carbon markets right now is that there isn't a lot of trust in measurement. Existing sampling and measurement technology is expensive, and that leads to very sparse measurement. As shown on the left, at best, 1 2 or 3 gram soil sample might get measured every 10 or so acres. And ultimately, there just isn't a lot of confidence that what we're measuring is accurate of what's really happening in these heterogeneous fields. And this degrades trust as well as value. Currently, this supports an offset value of around $10 to $20 per ton. And what we're doing essentially is building value by building trust. And so we do that by measuring around 10 times more data points enabled by technology that is both accurate and low cost. And through this, we think we can push credit value to at least $30 to $40 per ton. And as an analogy, if you remember back to the early days of GPS in the 90s, it was accurate to about 300 feet and ultimately wasn't all that useful in day-to-day life. And when newer regulation and technology increased accuracy to around 10 feet, it was a step change in utility. And that's essentially what we're proposing here. And the way we do this is threefold: through process, hardware, and software innovations. The current gold standard relies on dry combustion, a process with a lot of manual, labor-intensive steps. The bulk of costs coming from labor and operational costs like consumables. And we're addressing both of these. So our process is a variation on the combustion process. It lets us completely take out the need to do acid digestion, which is a very labor-intensive and costly process, which then allows us to automate the rest of the grinding and sorting tasks. And furthermore, a custom device design significantly lowers the operational costs. We're delivering this technology in the form of a measurement and verification service with our own labs and equipment. And initially, we're focused on lowering the cost of lab-based measurement for existing markets, and our current MVP addresses this key area. The next phase involves deploying some new field sampling technologies and services, which will allow us to increase sampling densities as well as lower sample collection costs. And finally, putting it all together, after collecting deep and broad ground truth data in the first few years, we'll have a unique ground truth data set to then train even lower cost hybrid models. At the same time, with both low-cost field sampling and measurement technologies, we'll be able to deliver on our full vision of high-trust, high-value carbon credits and see opportunities to work with value chain partners all throughout. Our leadership team has great complementary expertise in R&D, systems design, and product development. I just finished 2 master's degrees at MIT and the Sloan School of Management, and we're currently participating in the ADNET Innovation Lab. We were selected by a leading agricultural bank to participate in field trial pilots. And we're also planning another pilot with a customer with around 4 million acres under management. Lastly, we'll be kicking off a pre-seed raise in the coming months. So please reach out if you think there may be a fit. And similarly, we'll have capacity for a few additional pilot partners in early 2022. And we'll also be expanding our team. So please reach out if you'd like to learn more. Thank you.
Agrochemicals are the most popular pest control strategy in all commercial agriculture worldwide. However, these agrochemicals can severely harm the environment and workers, impair plant and farm function, and potentially put consumers at risk. Our next company has developed a range of innovative solutions that meet the critical market need to eliminate toxic, systemic products. Here's Nestor Zuniga Arias, Managing Director at Clearleaf, with more.
Hi, my name is Nestor Zúñiga, and I'm the founding member of Clearleaf. Clearleaf designs and commercializes 100% non-toxic fungicides and bactericides for agricultural use. The problem that we're trying to tackle is the excessive use of toxic pesticides in agriculture. Also, it is believed that up to 40% of the existing fungicides and bactericides will be banned worldwide due to health concerns. That is why we created Clearleaf and the Gota Blanca family of products. And guys, we have been comparing ourselves in the marketplace against some of the most commonly used molecules, and we can claim we're as good or better than the existing competition. We're also safe for workers, consumers, and the environment, and this is because we're a variation from an FDA-approved medical device. Our technology is also broad spectrum, works in many pathogens, and also in multi-crop. It does not generate microbial resistance because of the way it is designed. Now, the technology behind Gota Blanca, it is based on two basic pillars: the use of colloidal silver as a powerful antimicrobial, and the use of a superior adherence strategy that allows the silver to stay in place while allowing the plant to do its business: respiration, photosynthesis, and absorption of nutrients. Now, how's it used? We design it as contact action liquid emulsions. Therefore, we can do foliar spraying, drench it into the soil for root systems. We can do drip irrigation system with great success. And we have done aerial spraying using drones and planes. We also have various applications for post-harvest, using it as a spray or dipping the fresh products in a Gota Blanca solution. Now, where are we as a company? We're patent pending in 2 patents. We're moving into a national level patents in over 100 countries. We were able to secure the organic certifications according to the norms in Japan and the European Union. We also secured the registration in Costa Rica for sale, where we keep ourselves very active. We have demonstrated efficacy in an array of crops, many different crops, and we're already scaling our production capabilities because we were able to secure a distribution agreement the last 3 months that has quadrupled our sales in the last couple of months. Therefore, we're moving into a bigger facility and scaling our venture. These are the Gota Blanca presentations that we're using to penetrate Costa Rica and soon in the 4 other countries here in the Central American area where we're doing registrations as we speak. This is a revenue model. We are charging $14 per liter of Gota Blanca, resulting in a solid margin for our company. And we are recommending 3 liters per hectare per application. If you do extrapolations for the Americas and a handful of crops that we know we're really good at, the numbers start to get really interesting. In terms of commercial traction, we have been collaborating with some of the biggest names in the industry. Nespresso about 3.5 years ago for coffee. We have done Dole with bananas. We have done Del Monte for melons and pineapples. And most recently, the addition of Colono Agropecuario as our commercial partner that is helping us taking the company to the next level. In terms of social and environmental impact, we know that if we allow our farmers to start substituting some of the toxic molecules that they use currently for products such as Gota Blanca, we're going to allow them to protect their workers and final consumers, biodiversity in the environment, and also protecting water sources on our soils. This is our next frontiers. We're looking to continue to develop the Americas, starting here in Costa Rica with a success case, being able to prove that we have a market fit and a viable business. Moving into Central America because it's a natural fit, and also North and South in the Americas. There's a lot of players that had shown interest for our commercial rights in North and South America. Also, we're looking at Europe and Asia, starting to plant the seeds because we have had other corporates showing significant desire to know what we do and secure commercial rights. These are our needs. Our current needs are $2.5 million to continue to scale the company. We want to use the funds to expand to new markets, more registrations, secure distribution contracts, more IP, as I mentioned, national level in over 100 countries, and scaling up production to keep up with demand. Clearleaf was founded in 2017 by 2 corporates. All of our founding members are currently part of the executive team. We believe that we have all the right tools to take the company to the next level with experts in sustainability, regulatory affairs, science, finance, and business development. Look, guys, we need to change the way we do pest control. We know there's less options available out there. There's more people to feed worldwide, more educated and demanding client, and sustainability is leading the way. And we believe Clearleaf has got the tools to do the job. We believe that we are uniquely positioned to take advantage of the fungicide and bactericide markets. Thank you for your attention. Happy to take your questions.
How do we prepare growers to meet the future's food production demands? Using sensor data, satellite communication, and smart devices, our next company is tackling this very issue by enabling growers to improve yields, avoid failures, and optimize the usage of water, fuel, and electricity. It's my pleasure to introduce Jose Robeto, co-founder and CEO of Ponce.
Hi, my name is Jose, and I am the CEO of Ponce. Did you know that only 1% of all the water in the world is available for our use? And 70% of its consumption is devoted to agriculture. So Mother Nature is telling us that we must help growers take care of our most valuable resource. But this is the thing, watering is not easy. Irrigation machines need to be operated, calibrated, supervised, maintained. If those things are not done properly, costs rise and yields don't hit the goal. Irrigation management issues produce a huge impact. Therefore, each grower is spending every year $100,000 in production loss, $5,000 in energy, 13 days driving, and 19 million liters of fresh water. To give you an idea, this is the daily consumption of a 50,000 inhabitant city. That's why we have developed Ponce, a service based on IoT that empowers growers to achieve efficiency in the irrigation equipment. Our purpose is to ensure that every inch of water is applied in every corner of the field as it was meant and with the least amount of resources. So we install sensors in the machines in order to get a virtual clone of them in the cloud. By doing this, we can give the grower instant alerts and analyze the equipment behavior in order to give recommendations which will improve the performance. But you know, connectivity in rural areas is extremely poor. And even the US, which has an excellent coverage, has thousands of unconnected farms. Cellular connectivity and other solutions are working to improve and increment that coverage, but there are many countries which will find it difficult to reach that scenario in the next few years. We can't wait till that moment. It will be too late. That's why we choose satellite connectivity. Our gateway can transmit from every place, making our solution scalable and available for every grower all over the globe. So we offer the solution as a service and give the devices as a loan, charging just a small percentage of the savings we generate. In this way, we get involved in the day-to-day of irrigation. In these years, we have the joy of being recognized by many institutions, and we have been growing really, really fast. The pandemic couldn't stop us. On the contrary, last year we doubled our sales and began an expansion process reaching Mexico and being selected by Startup Chile to participate in the Ignite program of this year. In only 3 years, Ponce has become the most salient irrigation service in Argentina. 75 million cubic meters of water went through our system last year, and huge corporations like McCain, Syngenta, and others are trusting in us. Our strategy is to first focus on automatic sprinkler irrigation, but our roadmap includes integrating other techniques such as drip and micro sprinkler. Just talking about pivots, there are over 500,000 of them all over the world. Well, regarding our team, what can I say? I wish I had more time to speak about each of them. 14 crazy and talented people are working every day to change the way water is being applied to agriculture. A great group of advisors is guiding Ponce to hit the goals with a strategic and business view. And we are 3 founders, all with a tech background and roots on agriculture. We all have a huge passion about farming and the impact that technology has on it. If you feel the same, join us. We are in the middle of a 200K growth round to take our solution to every grower and empower them to feed the world. Remember that 1% we talked about at the beginning? We are committed to saving it for future generations. Are you in?
Bees are indispensable for our food security, our economy, and biodiversity. But the world's bee populations are under a threat due to the varroa mite, disease, climate change, and agricultural practices. That's why this next company is arming beekeepers with patented heating coils and integrated monitoring tools to ensure healthy hives. Here's Pascal Brunner, co-founder and CEO of Vatorex.
Imagine a world without bees. That would be a gray world, a world without pollination, without food, without life. At Vatorex, we fight this issue. We use technology in order to help saving the honeybees. And we believe that saving the honeybees contributes to more robust food systems and a more sustainable planet. That's why our vision is, we believe in a world with bees. And the bees are in trouble. Actually, 70 out of the top 100 human crops are pollinated by bees, and almost 30% of honeybee colonies die every year, mainly due to a small parasite, which is called varroa mite. It's 1.6 millimeters small and actually present in every hive. So far, beekeepers had to use chemicals. However, they lower the immunity and therefore are not a long-term solution to fight varroa in the long run. We are beekeepers ourselves. I was born into a beekeeping family, and we wanted to get rid of chemicals in order to treat varroa. So we have invented the ThermoGuard to eradicate varroa. Actually, it's a brood chamber, and we use thermal energy. We use a heat treatment at 42 degrees centigrade over 3-hour periods, and this kills the mites while the bees survive unharmed. And we have as well detected, or we have developed clever algorithms which detect when it's the right treatment. And therefore, we kill 95% of varroas with each treatment, which leads to an increased colony growth by 31%. Our business model is quite simple. We sell the initial box as an initial purchase. And afterwards, we have recurring revenues with these heatable coils, which are embedded in the frames, which we sell, and they are replaced by the beekeepers. For sales channels, we use a network of beekeeping supply stores, and as well for the commercial beekeepers, the ones running bees on a commercial level, we have direct contact to them and sell directly through our sales team. The market opportunity is huge. We focus on the US market as well as Western European markets and New Zealand. And in this differentiation, you can see the split between commercial and hobby beekeepers in terms of beekeepers as well as in terms of hives. And in these markets, we have totally roughly 10 million hives. And our aim is to be in 1 out of 4 beehives with our technology. If we compare ourselves to the existing miticide treatments, but as well to other thermal competitors on the market, we see that we outperform them on most points. We have the miticides, they have a long list of negative effects on the bees. However, so far they were basically the only necessary evil which you had to do in order to treat against varroa, while thermal competitors, it's been scientifically proven that heat treatment works against the mites. However, so far it's been a labor-intensive manual process, and with Vatorex we have a fully automated solution which the beekeepers can just run. It's solar-powered, and it doesn't disturb them in their operations. Or on the other hand, it makes them even more profitable, as they can manage more hives and become more profitable at the same time, because a beekeeper's workday is pretty heavy. If we look at the team, as I mentioned before, I was born in a beekeeping family. My father is as well part of the management team. And then we have enriched ourselves with seniors from the industry in regards from a CTO, as well as marketing and business development managers. Once we have our heads a little bit too much in the dirt, it's always good to have a bit more oversight, and that's why we have an external board of directors, as well as independent advisors from InnoSwiss, which is the Swiss Innovation Agency, as well as scientific advisory from our partners at Feeble. So at the moment, we are just starting fundraising again. So currently there is the investment opportunity to raise, as we are raising 2 million, of which 50% is already committed by the European Union. And of this money, roughly 70% will flow into operations and marketing and sales, as you can see in the bottom left. And we aim for a closing by the first quarter of 22. Thank you very much.
Family farmers around the world are often unequipped with the proper tools and technology to run their businesses efficiently. Yet they produce around 80% of the world's food production. This next company offers an affordable precision agriculture platform to give insights to farmers and automate their farming processes. Here's Javier Soto, co-founder and CEO of AgroCognitive, with details.
Hello everyone, my name is Javier Soto and we are AgroCognitive. She is Martha, a family farmer who grows rice in a small farm. She belongs to the 80% of the smallholder farmers who grow the food we eat daily. However, every season, her expenses in input for crop rotation increase, not yielding better result, nor mitigating the affectation, and sadly, is impacting her soil. This is happening for many farmers like Martha, who don't have enough capital to invest in the necessary technology to face the current food production challenge. But being worried about these results, she discovered some colleagues were using a platform called AgroCognitive. AgroCognitive is a precision farming agriculture platform to give insight and automation to farmers, allowing them save in input, get better harvest, and traceability. We enable the new food production model that the world needs. So she decided to open an account and try. To start using AgroCognitive, she uploaded some data and we got orders from satellites and weather services. Then we gave her diagnosis and analytics about what is happening in her crops, what is the next best action, and yields prediction. Soon, we could offer her soil analytics, remote crop protection services, and blockchain traceability. All of them meaning less cost, better harvest. For Martha, using AgroCognitive is affordable. It doesn't need any capital investment to onboard. It's not dependent of any hardware dealer, and the best, it evolves with every use. At the end of the season, she saved in agro input, reduced soil impact, increased harvest, and her family revenue. AgroCognitive is the best choice for small farmers, but also for cooperative and agribusiness. They trust in us because we deliver all they need, affordable key information to make the right decisions. Just in Latin America, this market is huge. There are more than 50 million of farmers like Martha. She's happy and confident with an ally that is a world who has partnerships with big technology vendors, local distributors, and important names behind them. The business model is really simple, just a subscription. We offer a plan for every farmer size, including a freemium plan. Martha uses Scaleup and she pays $50 monthly. The co-founder behind has been working together for more than 5 years and have built a strong team. Dr. Rafael Rodriguez is professor at UCLA and he is FAO climatology consultant. We met him during our first pilot at a sugarcane farm in 2018 and quickly became a follower, offered us tons of advices, and then switching from a customer to an associated consultant. This team is our capital, is proudly diverse and highly committed with our purpose. To scale up, AgroCognitive is looking for allies in agribusiness to keep adding best practices, research collaborators to incorporate more imaginary analytics, and commercial partners to step in new territories. We also are raising capital to reach the next level and impact more family farmers like Martha. We will use this capital to develop next stage features, execute a marketing plan, scale up our team, execute more farming pilot to include more crops and more customers. Farmers are the reason of our works, and Marta is grateful for receiving this help, allowing her to produce more rice, improve her well-being, and take care of the environment. Would you like to join us? Thank you for listening. And if you have any question, please contact us or visit our website and chat with our virtual assistant, Marta.
Pesticide dosing on vineyards is crucial to increasing product quality, meeting regulations, saving money, and preserving human health and the environment. There are precision farming solutions on the market, but they are largely standalone platforms and do not offer an integrated and automatic solution. This next company is different. I'm pleased to introduce Simone Kartsiotis, co-founder and CEO of DroneBee.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. Today, I'm here with a question for you. Do you have a family tradition? I'll tell you mine. In summer, I used to go to my grandparents' little village in Greece, and we always have a beautiful lunch in the countryside all together. When I was a child, I was often stung by bees, and that made me sad. In more recent years, bees haven't stung me anymore, and these make me even sadder. Bees are disappearing. Climate change and the overuse of pesticides in agriculture are reducing bee colonies by 25% in Europe and by 60% in the US in the last decades. Believe it or not, we have a bee to thank for every 1 in 3 bites of food we eat. But bees are just the tip of the iceberg. The overuse of pesticides are threatening human health, the environment, and moreover, it's even a great waste of money for farmers. The EU is planning to reduce the use of pesticide in agriculture by 50% by 2030. We have no more time to waste, and we must act now by optimizing the use of pesticides and give the plants only what is necessary to prevent diseases. Current solutions to optimize pesticide dosing are satellite-based platforms that provide raw resolution images which are not sufficient to evaluate tree crop status, weather stations and field sensors that provide the perfect time for treatment but not the optimized doses, and drone-based platforms that provide high-resolution images but without actionable advice for farmers. DroneBee is developing an app to help wine growers optimizing pesticide doses by using drones, smartphones, and AI algorithms. Dionysus, inspired by the ancient Greek god of wine. The app will facilitate plant analysis, suggest the optimal pesticide dose, and improve treatments management. Depending on the size of the vineyard, the wine grower can acquire photos by smartphone or drone that are sent to a cloud for processing and then sent back to the smartphone with the optimal pesticide dose, which is also based on the winery sprayer type. The app has unique features, proprietary algorithms, and proven technology. From the reconstructed 3D point cloud, the app calculates the geometrical features of the plants like canopy density, height, thickness, and volume, and give the wine growers a map with the optimal pesticide dose for each zone of the vineyard. The concept behind the app can be summed up in this question: would you give the same dose of medicine to a child and an adult? As humans, plants are different from one another. The goal of the app is to differentiate pesticide dosing with respect to the plant's geometrical features by highlighting different management zones, reduce the use of pesticide by 60%, and increase grape yields and quality. The map can be easily uploaded to a variable rate machine for automatic treatments, or it can be used more manually. Our early customers will be wine growers, especially Italian ones, since Italy is the first wine producer in the world. They will be able to choose among 3 incremental subscription plans with different features. Moreover, our technology can be extended with low efforts to other specialty tree crops. Our 3-year provisional economic plan has been estimated evaluating the app development and IT infrastructure costs, as well as marketing and the potential acquired users. We ask for $100,000 to develop the MVP of the app and demonstrate it's sustainable and profitable for every winery. The MVP will be released in 9 months and firstly launched in Italy. As we increase with paying users, the app will be bug fixed, enhanced, and then translated in other languages just before the international launch in the 3rd year. I'm Simone Carziotis, the Look to the Sky, aerospace engineer and drone pilot with years of experience in industrial sectors. I am a nature passionate, and so I decided to use my scientific background and my efforts to make agriculture more sustainable. My colleague Niccolò Bartoloni is the boot on field. He's an agronomist with more than 15 years of experience in winery management. We have complementary backgrounds, strong experience in precision viticulture, and the vision and ambition to succeed. We are Drone-B, better data, better decisions. Thank you.
Our first scale-up company is disrupting the irrigated row crop space. Using an intelligent, AI-driven robotic platform, this company is saving water and enabling farmers to transform pivot irrigation systems into farming robots with autonomous irrigation, fertigation, and crop protection. Here is the co-founder and CEO of Autonomous Pivot, Yuval Aviel.
Hi, my name is Yuval Aviel. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Autonomous Pivot. Autonomous Pivot takes advantage of standard center pivot irrigation systems to revolutionize row crop farming by means of sophisticated sensors, machine learning, and robotics. Irrigation pivots relentlessly rotate in hundreds of thousands of fields, so why not equip them with sensors and transform them from simple metal pipes into farming robots? So here's what we do. We want to cover the 3 main aspects of farming from the day the farmer plants the seeds to the day he harvests the crop. And these are the aspects that trouble the farmers the most: irrigation, nutrients, and crop health. Our crop health sensor is composed of 2 RGB cameras, one with a wide field of view and the other with a narrow field of view. The wide field of view camera can detect anomalies in the field, and the narrow field of view camera can detect sub-millimeter features. It is used for pest detections and plant diseases. Together, they both serve as an early detection system against disease stress. All these sensors are mounted on the pivot, travel with the pivot, and send the data to the cloud. In the cloud, we have developed what we called an AI agronomist. Data from the sensors, data from the web, data from third party, it all streams into the AI engine. The AI agronomist then outputs recommendations such as how much to irrigate, when to fertigate, what pesticides, herbicides, fungicides should be applied. As we want to free the farmer from the duty of monitoring his fields, we can also program the pivot with our optimal recommendations. We can then apply, for example, fungicide through the irrigator. By doing this, we bring row crop farming a significant step closer to autonomous farming. Customer traction is phenomenal. We have experienced an exponential growth in just under 3 years. Customers tell us that the value that they see in our system is not only in reducing the input, but also in managing their fields. We see sales channels increase orders 5 times from previous year, and some farmers increase even 10 times. The majority of our system are installed in the Midwest, our primary market focus, but we have also expanded with system in Brazil and Australia. Sales next year will bring us to operational costs, and the projected sales of 3,000 units in 2023 will bring us to profitability. We have completed 2 investment rounds so far. $2 million were raised in CLA round. It is here, you don't see it. And in May 2021, we closed a price round of $4 million. Leading investors are as I select from St. Louis and an Israeli impact fund called Ella. The next one will be open in early 2022. In terms of operation and headcount and revenues, so we have 2 headquarters, one in Tel Aviv, Israel, and the other one in Wichita, Kansas. Revenues in 2020 were $50,000, and this summer we already crossed the $300,000. Next year, the plan is to reach $2 million in revenue. We present here a unique opportunity to disrupt the row crop farming industry. It seems that our product hits a rare combination. 1, it has a high profit margin. 2, it has a great customer demand. And 3, it also addresses important sustainability goals. Also, our product has the potential to create the best agronomist on the market. Thank you.
As awareness increases around the overuse of nitrogen in agricultural production, there is growing pressure to reduce its negative impacts on waterways, animals, human health, soil, and our climate. This next solution is working to equip growers with the tools to address these major challenges. Here's Lisa Anderson, founder and managing director at ThinkBio, with more.
Synthetic nitrogen fertilizer once revolutionized agriculture and were able to see significant increases in crop yields. But now we're seeing the unintended consequences of the overuse of fertilizer and the detrimental impact that it's having on our environment. So here are 3 key facts. 3% of global greenhouse gas emissions are associated with the production and use of nitrogen fertilizer. 75% of farmland in the EU is vulnerable to nitrate leaching. And 1/3 of our soils globally are in decline, associated with the overuse of nitrogen fertilizer. So we have 3 key challenges facing global food and fiber production, of which we must provide solutions to growers. And these are to reduce greenhouse gases, to reduce the contamination of nitrate into our waterways, to improve soil health, and at the same time, increase the productivity of our crops. So we have a solution, Createch. Createch is able to deliver a sustainable form of nitrogen through the use of bacteria. We can do this by applying Createch to deliver an additional source of nitrogen to promote productivity, or to replace a portion of synthetic nitrogen to improve sustainability. The key benefits of Createch is that there's no greenhouse gas emissions nor nitrate leaching associated with the use of Createch. It's also able to deliver 50 kilos of nitrogen per hectare and hence increasing crop yield. An additional benefit is that 1 kilo of Createch is able to deliver the same nitrogen content as 100 kilos of urea. Createch incorporates C-active microbial technology, which was acquired and patented by ThinkBio. It's a combination of selected strains of microencapsulated bacteria combined with a proprietary formulation, which allows the bacteria to deliver the nitrogen to the crop. This is through the process of nitrogen fixation, but it also enhanced mineralization of applied fertilizer. Createch's proprietary formulation allows the product to be delivered as a foliar application to the crop. This leads to high rates of colonization and inoculation of beneficial bacteria, leading to a consistent product efficacy in different crops and environments. In contrast, the competition is often applied to the seed of the soil, where there's high rates of variability and hence a lower number of beneficial bacteria. An example of traction and market fit for Creotech is in Italy, where growers purchase Creotech to reduce the carbon footprint on farm. They do this by reducing their nitrogen fertilizer by 35%, hence leading to a reduction in greenhouse gases and nitrate leaching. It also reduces input costs to growers by somewhere between 20 to 80 euros per hectare, whilst maintaining yield. This is the ThinkBio team who have developed and commercialized Creotech. We are based in Australia, and we also have some members of our team overseas in Spain, where Creotech is manufactured. We currently have 4 product licenses for Creotech, with another 5 in progress. And in these countries, we have distributors who have conducted validation trials who are eagerly waiting for these licenses to be granted so they can start to sell and commercialize Creotech. We currently have 36 trials with 10 different crops and 8 different countries, and this will increase to 52 trials next year. So I've been able to demonstrate how ThinkBio, through the use of Creotech, can deliver on these sustainability goals, including reducing greenhouse gases and reducing the environmental impact of crop production. Now we're looking to improve the yields of smallholder farmers. We're able to demonstrate this by the rice trials in Rwanda, where we conducted trials using Creotech over 3 years and 6 seasons and achieved an average yield increase of 25%. However, in order to do this and commercialize Creotech in these countries, we need to increase the stability of the Creotech microbes. This will allow us to transport the product over 30 degrees and deliver to smallholder farmers around the world. ThinkBio is looking to raise 1.5 million for 20% equity in the company. We're seeking R&D collaboration to also improve the stability of the Creotech microbes. ThinkBio, through the use of Creotech, is able to reduce environmental impact of crop production. We're now looking to improve the lives of 500 million smallholder farmers around the world, so we can also positively impact global food security. Thank you.
Did you know that 70% of pesticide spray does not reach the target crop? Well, this next solution increases coverage by 20% and reduces drift by up to 70%. It's an easily installed and maintained crop spraying technology that reduces water, chemical inputs, and waste associated with conventional pesticide spray applications. Introducing Gary Wickham, co-founder and CEO of MagGrow.
Hello everyone, I'm Gary Wickham, co-founder and CEO of MagGrow, and I'm delighted to be here. MagGrow supports the sustainable intensification of global food production by delivering vital crop protection products where they matter most. I firmly believe that MagGrow can help Bayer achieve their sustainability goals. Let me explain how and why. We help farmers do 4 things: grow more food, make more money, protect the environment, and of course be sustainable. Due to a compromise between drift and coverage when using conventional spray technology, approximately 70% of vital crop protection products are wasted. Fantastic news is that MagGrow solves this compromise by delivering more of the optimum droplets. We pass the fluid through a series of magnetic inserts that transform the physical properties of the fluid, delivering the unique spray characteristics and droplet profile associated with MagGrow. The MagGrow technology is retrofitted onto anti-tractor spray type, so we're brand agnostic. You can see a John Deere sprayer here. Little maintenance involved, very easy to install, and we're developing an Intel Inside version of our technology with OEMs. But MagGrow has many benefits associated with it. By way of an example, we have a farmer in Alabama who's a cotton grower. That farmer has now doubled the amount of acres they spray using MagGrow technology, generating less waste, using less labor, water, and chemical, producing more food, is sustainable, and critically protecting the environment. To develop the team, launch commercially, and develop the technology, we've raised $27 million to date. We have a number of commercial partners, most notably Trimble Ag. We've signed a non-exclusive worldwide deal with them to access their dealer base. Our science-based approach meant we need to develop 4 pillars. We have a crop science pillar, and our crop science team work with customers side by side, doing field testing. They work on new products, new applications, and they have fantastic equipment like our new track sprayer in our UK facility. Our applied science team, also based at that facility, has a team of researchers working on new technologies and IP. We work with Professor Mike Coey and the team in Trinity, who are experts in the magnetic treatment of fluid. And finally, we generate customer data with key customers and also field research centres, as you can see here. We've installed over 250 units around the world, working on multiple crops in what is a massive market. As you can see here, we've achieved an incredible amount in 7 short years. And I look forward to working with larger commercial partners and also collaborations on the technical side as we strive to deliver Magro onto as many farms globally as we can. Every great technology needs a great team. We have a fantastic team, which we keep adding new people all the time. And there's also a lot of a spirit of entrepreneurship in the business. I myself, am a serial entrepreneur. I co-founded and set up Stay City, which is a $125 million revenue business with over 5,000 employees. And I co-founded Magro with David Moore. We have 3 core technologies. I talked about our boom product with our magnetic assist technology. We've also developed the greenhouse sprayer and a product for small farm holders, and they are delivering similar results. We have our nanotechnology, and we're working on applications in sanitization, post-food harvest, and eventually in drones and in delivering nutrients to the soil. And we have a big project in the UK to validate work we did with USDA that shows that Magro versus conventional required 37% less water. You can see the Magro small farm holder product in the top right, the conventional equivalent on the bottom right, and the Magro greenhouse product on the top left here. I mentioned at the beginning that Magro can help Bayer achieve their sustainability goals, which is to drive sustainability by minimizing the environmental impact of crop protection products. I think I've clearly demonstrated that Magro is doing that every day with farmers worldwide. And no better time to let's hear a customer talking about the benefits associated with Magro.
I think it's probably the thing that's going to revolutionize all spraying of any type of insecticide, herbicide on agricultural products of any kind. I have no moving parts, nothing wears out. I can move it from sprayer to sprayer.
We're actually getting better coverage with less chemical on the plant than we would at 100% with a conventional sprayer.
I got a dead weed, I saved some chemical, and I got over more acres. I don't know how much plainer that can be to anybody to look at. Well, there's 3 savings. If just one of them worked, I'd be happy. I've told all of our sales staff and the company that the number one thing that we're going to do for 21 is educate as many people as we can to Magro, because they all got the same problem. I can't kill the weed. Well, I think you can now.
Our final scale up is all about maximizing the resources we have down to each drop of water. Goanna Ag has developed an integrated solution that uses low-cost sensors and connectivity to monitor and measure the real-time health of a plant and its environment. I'm pleased to introduce Alicia Garden, co-founder and CEO of Goanna Ag.
Hi, I'm Alicia Garden and I'm the CEO of Goanna Ag. We operate across the irrigated cotton footprint of Australia and the US, and our tagline is more crop, less drop. The challenge is well known. Global population is growing. More people need to be fed and clothed, and food and fibre production requires water, some 70% of total global annual water use. That increased demand means irrigation water is under relentless environmental, commercial, and societal pressure, and a massive challenge emerges. To solve this challenge, we need to grow more from less. Let me quickly touch on a critical concept you've probably heard of before: water use efficiency. It's the same principle as fuel efficiency, but instead of measuring miles per gallon, we measure, for example, t-shirts per gallon of irrigation water applied. And just like fuel efficiency, there is massive variability in water use efficiency across the globe. Optimizing water use efficiency is precisely what Goanna Ag does. Our flagship product, GoField, is the world's most intelligent irrigation scheduling advisor. We're like a doctor in the field and actively monitor your crop's health in real time against its biological optimum. Just like the human body with our 98-degree temperature threshold, Each plant type has a biological optimum. When exceeded, the plant stops growing. To maximise yield and often quality, you want to push the plant as close to their biological optimum as possible without breaching it. Application of water cools the plant down and promotes growth. We accurately forecast both crop water use and stress of the crop across the next 7 days, allowing our clients to schedule and optimise water delivery before any yield impact is realised without wasting water. GoField is a fully integrated solution utilising in-field sensors, satellite imagery, and powerful algorithms, and is sold in a data-as-a-service model. Our traditional client base has been corporate farms in Australia, where we currently work with 35% of the cotton industry. More recently, however, we've had significant traction with supply chain members who are assisting drive adoption pre-farm gate. By way of example, we've just announced a 3-year partnership with Bayer Australia, who will subsidise 300 cotton sites of installation per season. Our joint aspiration is to make GoField the water use efficiency standard across the industry. An independent cost-benefit analysis of GoField in cotton in Australia demonstrated a $75 per acre uplift. That represents an ROI of 12 for our clients, all whilst saving 8% water. The economic benefit to the Australian cotton industry as a whole will be in excess of $100 million per season, along with redeploying as much as 250,000 megs of irrigation water. So what does that mean to a consumer? Normally it takes 320 gallons of water to make a single t-shirt. GoField delivers a better quality, longer lasting garment for only 185 gallons. With regard to our forward strategy, irrigated corn, permanent tree crops, and viticulture are all logical expansion steps, which are at different points of commercialisation. Each so far has shown higher ROI and water saving opportunities than cotton. Lawns present a separate but significant opportunity to bring water use efficiency gains to millions of homes around the world where 20% of water applied is wasted. Tackling this consumer market is a future ambition. In an irrigation production system, making the most of every drop of water adds all sorts of value. Cotton farmers and their supply chain remain profitable and resilient. Our precious water ecosystem can be better managed, and the ability to bring traceable, sustainable apparel to life, starting right at the plant, starts to become achievable. We're establishing a foundational data set to drive ESG and sustainability metrics across the clothing supply chain, which we'll monetize in the near future. We're looking to raise $6.5 million to build out our US team, employ key skill sets within the business, and embark on expansion into other commodities by automating threshold identification. Our leadership team has over 70 years combined ag experience with several successful exits. We have significant networks and success in the core competencies we believe are crucial to build a profitable, dynamic, and scalable company. We're proudly based in regional Australia, where we live and work with our clients, enjoying a deep understanding and appreciation of the challenges of agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our 10 finalists and their outstanding pitches. What great innovation, what great stories that these companies bring, and the opportunities I think they have to help us with this great mission we have in agriculture. I think they really met the challenge, and it was exciting to see what brilliant and smart ideas they're working on. And it really encourages me to see the types of innovation that are occurring in our space in agriculture. As a reminder, we have 3 awards today. The first is the People's Choice Award. Second, the Thrive Bear Sustainability Startup Award. And then finally, the Thrive Bear Sustainability Scaleup Award. I had the pleasure actually of participating in a judging panel, and I was extremely impressed by what I heard and the passion and excitement that's being generated by these great startups and the people that are leading them. The ag biotech community has cast their votes and for their favorite startup, and that's the People's Choice Awards. And the winner is AgriCognitive. AgriCognitive is a startup whose mission is to help farmers engage in precision agriculture in a more affordable, more precise, and more successful way. They're bringing insights to farmers, they're helping farmers with automation of their processes, and they're helping to save on their inputs and really make a difference on the farm using data and ensure that they have more successful harvests. AgriCognitive received 30% of the votes in the weeks leading up to today's event. Well done to the co-founders, Javier Soto, Maria Diaz, and Juan Lopez, and the entire AgriCognitive team. Congratulations. The Thrive Bear Sustainability Startup Award goes to Haystack. This is one of my favorite stories. This is a company that is working on helping us to implement and achieve the opportunity for farmers to help sequester carbon and be economically recognized. And Haystack is stepping into one of the great challenges in this space, which is how can we improve the speed, scalability, and precision of measuring carbon on the farm? And they've come up with some great idea and technology to help do that precise thing, helping to increase the amount of sampling that's happening on the farm, bring much more rapid results so that farmers and us will be able to self-certify those fields and know that carbon is being sequestered and at how much carbon is being sequestered in different parts of the field. And this is critical on the journey that we're on in order to help agriculture be a net carbon sequesterer. And this is a great opportunity for farmers and a great opportunity for innovation. So again, my congratulations to CEO Matt Rosen and Özgür Yildirim and the entire team. And we're really looking forward to collaborating with you on your great technology and what it'll bring and mean to farmers around the world. Finally, the Thrive Bear Sustainability Scaleup Award. And this goes to Magro, a company that's using very novel technology, which involves helping farmers reduce their crop application sprays and reduce the total amount that is being put out into the environment and more precisely apply it and make it stay on where we want it to be applied, which is on the plant, and protect the plant from those pests that are out there. And they're using a novel technology with permanent magnets. And this technology helps to deliver these opportunities for farmers and can be adapted to their existing equipment. So congratulations to CEO Gary Wickham, the entire team at Magro. I'm really looking forward to working more closely with the company and seeing how their innovation has real meaningful application on the farm and help us achieve our goal of 30% reduction in the impact of crop protection products in the environment. So really exciting technology and truly right on the mark in terms of what we're looking for to help with some of our objectives and overall just helping agriculture. Again, congratulations to all our winners and to all of the finalists, and great job.
Thanks, Bob. And yeah, great job for the companies. Thank again to all our entrepreneurs, our speakers, judges, and mentors, and to both the Thrive and Bear teams for playing a key role in solving some of the greatest challenges facing our planet today. And thank you for joining us. Be safe, and we look forward to catching up with you soon at the Thrive Europe Challenge on October 7th and the Thrive LATAM Challenge on December 2nd. And until then, let's make sure we continue to advance the future of food, agriculture, and sustainability through innovation.